Hello, Africa. Hello, Africa. Rise up and greet the day. Voices of the nation in the brand new sway. Colors of our land, bright and gold. Hello, Africa. Let our stories be told. And this is, the very profound, poetic piece that you can find this morning on Hello, Africa, your very energizing morning show coming right from Ghana, from the headquarters of the AAU. My name is Agyemang, and I'm joined here by my brother, my own colleague, Phil Edwards.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
I'm very well. How are you?
Doing good. It's a wonderful morning.
Wonderful morning. And you're looking sharp.
There are two things. Thank you very much. The two things in every morning. It's either you sit behind your television, your phone, your laptop, stream live Hello Africa, and get yourself a cup of tea. It is like that.
Thank you.
It is like that. And beyond that also is to also try and then do a couple of stretches, take in some water, and feel good because you've actually been through some dehydration for a long while. So that is how the morning should go today. This morning is very promising. Because we're still within the month of October. And I have a story to tell you about.
Tell me about
breast cancer issue. So over the weekend, I kind of passed by, met a bevy of ladies, so I sat close, and then they were just trying to learn how to do the self-examination. So they had risen their hands and then they were examining. And I was looking because I was interested. So one lady spotted me and said, young man, this is not for men. I was like, my grandmother is alive.
And is there a reason you're watching? So you go teach her?
I'll go and teach her. Just like that. I might not be doing a good thing.
No, it's a good thing. Breast cancer has no barrier when it comes to who it can affect. So for you to be thinking about your grandmother, that's a sweet thing.
Have you checked yourself?
I haven't checked, but I have done it before, but I've not been able to do it. But I think I'll try to do it.
Let's do it.
And I am so much interested in breast cancer because my mother passed on because of breast cancer. So it's a thing that I have a lot of concern for. So I'll urge every lady to do this, go and get checked. We are still within the month of October. And in fact, even beyond the month of October, get checked as regularly as you can get checked. And the men as well, you are not left out. A lot of men think that they are not part of it because usually you see the evidence of a breast more on a woman than a man. But please, men, don't get out of the conversation. Be part of it. Beyond yourselves, you have wives, you have mothers, you have sisters, you have aunties. You have grandmothers like Agyemang has just said. So, yes. So definitely, men get involved.
And if you're watching us, don't just be a spectator. Be a citizen. Share the link with your friends, your family, to also watch Hello Africa this morning because it promises to be very informative. There's a whole lot we have for you today for you to appreciate what is happening within the African continent and beyond. So build your knowledge capacity by watching Hello Africa and then be entertained by myself and Phil Edwards.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Tell us what's happening.
So today, we are talking about a number of things. We are going to IMF. We are going to the Parliament of Ghana. I'm sure if you're following Ghana's parliamentary stories, you know about the brawl about who is in the majority and who is in minority at the moment. And then we are going to polio. I was sad to see this issue about polio because in this day and age, we shouldn't be talking about polio in this continent. And then we'll be talking about some issues of reparation. So there's and many more coming up on this edition of the Hello Africa show.
So, just stay glued to your screens. Don't change the dial. Don't turn the remote. Don't even change anything on your phone. Just watch us. We'll be right back. See ya.
Hello, Africa. Keep watching AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water. Share the love and Bigo Drinks.
All right, welcome back from that break, and we'll go straight into our top African stories this morning. And in our first story, the International Monetary Fund warns that while Sub-Saharan Africa's economic outlook shows signs of improvement, the region faces significant hurdles in implementing crucial reforms. Growth is expected to reach 3.6% this year, with a modest increase to 4.2% in 2025.
IMF Africa Department Deputy Director Catherine Patillo describes regional policymakers as facing a difficult balancing act between reducing macroeconomic imbalances and addressing pressing development needs. The challenges are compounded by persistent inflation, which remains in double digits in nearly one-third of countries. The region's economic stability is further threatened by mounting debt service burdens, which are depleting resources needed for development. Many countries are grappling with insufficient foreign exchange reserves, making them vulnerable to external shocks. The IMF emphasizes that inaction is not an option. Policymakers must implement reforms while ensuring they remain socially and politically acceptable. This includes strengthening social safety nets and protecting vulnerable populations. The report highlights concerns about monetary policy credibility in several countries. Central banks need to rebuild confidence among investors, banks, and the public in their ability to maintain price stability. The IMF has significantly increased its support to the region, disbursing over $60 billion since 2020, more than double the amount provided in any previous decade since the 1990s. The fund continues to offer support for countries facing external financing gaps and remains the largest provider of capacity development assistance to sub-Saharan Africa.
And in story 2, Ghana's parliament has been suspended indefinitely after chaotic scenes erupted over a dispute about which party holds the majority, following the controversial defection of 4 MPs ahead of December's general election.
Speaker of the Fourth Republic of Ghana, Alban Bagban's decision to declare the defecting MP seat vacant has shifted the majority to the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, prompting a Supreme Court challenge from President Nana Akufo-Addo's New Patriotic Party, NPP. The crisis reached its peak on Tuesday when MPs from both parties attempted to occupy the majority seats, leading to NPP members walking out to avoid conflict, while NDC lawmakers responded by singing party songs and marching through the chamber. The parliamentary suspension has serious implications for Ghana's governance as it prevents the approval of crucial funding and laws. This political deadlock is particularly concerning given the country's current economic challenges and the approaching December 7 general election. The situation stems from Ghana's delicately balanced parliament, where after the 2020 elections, both major parties held 137 seats each. The NPP had maintained a slim majority through support from an independent MP until the recent defections threw the balance into question. The political crisis comes at a critical time as Ghana prepares for a leadership transition, with President Akufo-Addo stepping down after 2 terms. The election will see Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia of the NPP face off against the NDC's John Mahama, with the high cost of living emerging as a key campaign issue.
And also, the World Health Organization has reported 134 new cases of polio across 7 African countries, marking a significant setback in the global fight against the disease. The announcement came as the world observed World Polio Day, highlighting the growing challenges in eradicating the preventable disease, polio.
WHO's Regional Director for Africa, Mashidiso Moeti, confirmed that the circulating variant of polio type 2 has been detected in several nations, including Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Mali, Niger, and Nigeria. This development comes as a global data shows that 541 children worldwide were affected by polio in 2023, with a staggering 85% of cases occurring in fragile and conflict-affected regions. Over the past 5 years, polio cases in vulnerable regions have more than doubled, while routine childhood immunization rates have declined from 75 to 70%, far below the 95% threshold required for community immunity. In response to this growing crisis, UNICEF and its partners have intensified their emergency response efforts. A notable success was achieved in Gaza, where nearly 600,000 children under 10 were vaccinated during the first phase of an emergency campaign in mid-September, despite the region reporting its first polio cases in 25 years. The situation in Sudan illustrates the devastating impact of conflict on vaccination efforts, with national childhood vaccination rate plummeting from 85% to 53% in 2023. In active conflict zones, the coverage has dropped even further to an alarming 30%. Healthcare organizations emphasize that humanitarian pauses in conflict zones are crucial for vaccination teams to safely access and protect vulnerable children. These efforts are vital in preventing further outbreaks and protecting children in already at-risk communities. The recent surge in cases serves as a stark reminder that polio remains a significant threat in regions where healthcare infrastructure is compromised by conflict and instability, highlighting the urgent need for continued global support and coordination in eradication efforts.
A new study reveals that human-driven climate change has intensified this year's devastating rainy season across Africa, making seasonal downpours 5 to 20% worse in the Niger and Lake Chad basins, and despite the continent's minimal contribution to global emissions.
According to the World Weather Attribution Network, approximately 1,500 people have died and over 1 million have been displaced in West and Central Africa due to the flooding this year, with scientists warning these extreme weather events could be annual occurrences if global temperatures continue to rise. The study particularly focused on Sudan, where conflict has forced millions into flood-prone areas. Scientists use modeling to compare current weather patterns with those in a world without human-included warming, confirming the month-long period of intense rainfall have become more severe due to climate change. Scientists predict these conditions could occur yearly if global temperatures rise to 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, potentially as early as the 2050s. Joyce Kumutai from Imperial College London emphasized the tragic irony that Africa, contributing minimally to global carbon emissions, bears the brunt of extreme weather consequences. The researchers are calling for urgent actions, including better dam maintenance and improved early warning systems ahead of next month's UN COP29 Climate Summit in Azerbaijan, where nations will discuss accelerating the transitions away from fossil fuels.
And in our final story for the top African news, a growing movement for reparations for transatlantic slavery and colonialism is gaining momentum worldwide, with Caribbean and African nations leading calls for accountability from former colonial powers. The discussion centers around the historical trafficking of at least 12.5 million Africans between the 15th and 19th centuries.
The Caribbean community has put forward a comprehensive reparation plan demanding formal apologies, debt cancellation, and support for educational, health, and cultural programs for European nations. Meanwhile, the African Union is developing its own reparations framework. Britain, which transported an estimated 3.2 million enslaved people, has shown mixed responses to these calls, while King Charles has expressed deep sorrow over slavery and former Prime Minister Tony Blair offered an apology in 2007. Current political leadership, including potential future Prime Minister Keir Starmer, appears to be reluctant to engage in reparations discussions. Portugal, responsible for trafficking nearly 6 million Africans, has seen its president, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, acknowledge the need for apologies and possible reparations, though the government has declined to initiate any formal process. The Dutch government has also taken a middle ground, rejecting direct reparations but establishing a €200 million fund for social initiatives benefiting descendants of enslaved people. France, despite officially recognizing transatlantic slavery as a crime against humanity in 2001, has ruled out reparations, with President Emmanuel Macron calling for reconciliation instead. Belgium's colonial legacy, particularly in the Congo, remains a contentious issue, with King Philippe expressing regret but stopping short of formal apologies. In the United States, Federal-level discussions on reparations have remained stalled in Congress for 35 years, though some state-level initiatives, particularly in California, have attempted to address the legacy of slavery and racial discrimination. The debate highlights the complex intersection of historical accountability, economic justice, and modern international relations as nations grapple with addressing centuries-old wrongs while facing contemporary political and economic realities.
So there we go with the news review, and we'll be back to give you more detail into the news portal where we have the stories coming out and discussions. So all our friends, family, and people watching online, just stay tuned and let us know what you feel about the stories. We're right back. Stay with us.
Are you a university, college, high school, private organization, NGO, individual professor, instructor or facilitator seeking to take advantage of the numerous benefits of online education? Look no further. The AAU eLearn Africa LMS is a great opportunity to begin your journey to online course development and creation for teaching, learning and training purposes. AAU eLearn Africa LMS, which is a partnership between the Association of African Universities and eLearn Africa, has made available ease to use online learning tools to all stakeholders within the educational ecosystem of the African continent. This is to enhance teaching and learning in the bid to expand online learning opportunities for students in Africa. The online platform is open and available for free to all stakeholders and facilitates virtual access to classes without needing the other tools such as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, among others. For more information, visit www.elearnafricalms.com or contact us via aaulms@aau.org or estherm@elearnafrica.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at AAU eLearn Africa LMS.
Hello Africa, keep watching AAU TV.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
And you're welcome back to Hello Africa, where Africa's story is told. And this is one of the most interesting segments on the show where we dig deeper and delve deeper into the stories. We'll do the review and we share our thoughts on the matter. And you also have a chance to also share your views as well, that we can also read out line to the whole of Africa to appreciate what's happening in the various parts of the continent. And we are starting with the motherland, Ghana. And, you know, trending in Ghana right now in the month of October, you know, there is every trend per month. And the trend for this month is just overwhelming. It's the issue about Ghana's parliamentary chaos, you know, the MPs brawling over who is the majority and who is minority.
Yeah.
Phil, you know, let me hear from you on this one. What have you really heard about this story that much?
Okay. So I'm going to put myself in the shoes of a regular Ghanaian and speak to it as it is, because I believe a lot of people need to be educated on the details of this, because what I've heard on the streets makes me feel like a lot of people do not understand the constitution, number one. They don't understand the laws. They don't understand some of the decisions that bring us to this point. And they don't even understand why, in quotes, grown people who are supposed to be our leaders, members of parliament, are arguing about who is in the minority and who is in the majority when there are clear rules, so to speak, the constitution. So like I said, in the shoes of a regular Ghanaian, people are just being partisan on this issue. NDC, NPP. We know NPP was in the majority by just one figure or one person adding to the number.
Yeah.
So we all know that the NPP was in the majority. And then going forward into this elections in December, some candidates have gone on the ticket of the NPP. 3 and then 1 person for the NDC. Now that makes 4 MPs who have gone off the ticket, and then it basically means that they do not have any parties at the moment. They are running independent. The laws do say that when you are not on any party ticket, arguably you're supposed not to be your seat is supposed to be vacant. But there is a problem here. This is clear. This is, I think, it's basic understanding, but people do not understand why it's supposed to be like that. And so a lot of people are just talking and they do not understand the details of why the NDC have suddenly said that, okay, if you have lost 3 MPs on the side of the NPP, then now we are in the majority because we have the numbers. Does it work? Does it not work? The other issue now is the judiciary came in when the NDC took this position, and in under 24 hours, they're saying that, okay, the court is saying that it's not supposed to be so. Eventually, the speaker says, now let's suspend parliamentary sessions for now. Another thing that I heard that I feel people don't understand is why, when it's an issue of majority and minority, the judiciary is able to overturn the decision within 24 hours. But there are other urgent matters that are still pending. Parliament has not been able to sit on it, and the judiciary is also watching on. So these are conversations that are going on at the moment. And I'm just bringing this to the attention of people so that we can discuss this, talk about it, so that people can understand where the realities of the matter, and not just be on the side of partisan politics, so that everybody is properly educated.
Great. And as we have the conversation onwards, if you are online and you're watching us and you have any comment or contribution to make to this discussion, you can also put it in the comment section. It's live. I can see lots of people watching us live. The likes of Dr. Chioma Blaise Shikere, Cheryl J. Joy. We have Oscar Quindeno, we have Charles Edward Miniga, we have Victoria Marco, Marjan, Chroma, and a whole lot of people who are watching us across the continent. Just share your comments on what we're discussing, or if you have any other issue that you want us to discuss, we'll just mention it and then find a way to put in our list. But let me just come back to you, Phil, on this matter. And as intellectual people, we should look at the issue with the intellectual mindset. Let's try and then rise beyond the political tarmac. Let's look at it basically with the intellectual lens. As intellectuals, we realize that the rule of law is the basis for every country. Every country's sovereignty is not based in an individual's strong will. It is based upon the rule of law, the constitution, the highest decision-making system of the land, the ruler of the land. And we all have surrendered our will to the constitution. And the constitution had in it stipulated some measures. And we have an arm of government, which is the judiciary, executive, and legislature. So it goes legislature, judiciary, and then the executive. We find a very, I would say, compelling situation right here, where the rule of law must be given its room to be itself. Where we have 2 sides in the parliament, and some members, or 3 from one party, 3 from the other party, decided to now change their status from being party-driven to personal-driven. And fortunately, the Constitution has in it Article 7, subsection 1, 2, 3, stipulates remedies to handle such situations. And in those remedies is when somebody came to Parliament to serve the constituency on a party ticket and later decides now to go back to a different status, let's say to go independent or to join a party, unlike the party that brought him or her to Parliament. In that situation, that means that your seat in Parliament is to be declared vacant because you are now changing your status, which literally changes your political DNA at that moment. So you have to now go and come back in a different state. However, there can't be anything like an election at that moment because of this situation. There is a context to this situation. We need to appreciate the context. But let me just try and narrate the issue very well so you can appreciate it. Those out there can also appreciate. We moved on. So the majority leader at that time witnessed the declaration of the speaker, who was just exercising his own legal powers, that in this situation, I will stand on the premise of the law and declare that these seats are vacant.
Yeah.
However, the majority leader at the time saw that there was a bit of a tiny gap of non-consideration, because we were at the verge of perhaps approaching an election year.
Yeah.
So if you declare the seat vacant, how does government business undertake? So the whole of consideration that had to go on.
Yeah.
So he quickly ran to the beacon of the Supreme Court, which is also the highest court in the land, to interpret, not to literally interpret the provision of the Constitution, but to make meaning of that provision in the context we found ourselves.
Yeah.
Our laws are not entirely rigid.
They are flexible.
There are sometimes the Supreme Court, in their remits of their rule and adjudicature, we call it, they are able to make necessary adjustments to suit the time we're in and create the peace and stability we're looking for.
Yeah.
So in their wisdom, they pass a directive to the Speaker of Parliament. The Speaker, I think you should hold on this for now.
Yeah.
And let's try and then settle this issue very well. Why should it be a big surprise to people who mean well for the country? The Supreme Court was able to act on this issue quickly.
Yeah.
Isn't that their job, to secure, to ensure that there's good governance and stability?
Yeah.
So they did that because the issue was of relevance.
Yeah.
It is the parliament we're talking about, and government business has not ended.
Yeah.
So there ought to be an emergent intervention.
Yeah.
They did that.
Yeah.
Today, or let's say just last week, the Speaker declared that this issue, and for parliament runnings, it's indefinite for now.
Yeah.
We take it like one of the most boldest moves ever made by the Speaker of Parliament, because he's also a deep thinker.
Yeah.
And he's one of the sages within the country. He has served and seen the country evolve over time.
Yeah.
And therefore, he knows to what extent his actions can either cause peace or chaos.
Yeah.
So he passed it indefinite. Everybody go and relax.
Yeah.
And we will find a mature way to settle it.
Yeah.
Because we are close to an election year, which plays a lot of risk and danger when it comes to handling partisan issues, that we can't risk it. So I think that he has made a good thing happen. However, we have, I would say, a bit of a nonchalant minority, then minority, now majority, self-acclaimed. Because the Speaker's declaration, per what happened recently, nullifies what he said earlier. If he still stood by it, the Supreme Court directive comes to neutralize it. That take it easy on what you said the last time. Take it easy. Put it on an indefinite stance, and let's see what happens. So why must you still hold on to your guard and not to yield to what he had declared, and still now want to take over majority? On what grounds of power are you standing on to make that declaration? Are you now neglecting the power of the Speaker? Are you now trying to abolish the power of the Supreme Court and the directive they give? Are you now saying that the directive in the Constitution or the provision of the Constitution is only understood and interpreted by you, the majority, the now carrying majority, self-acclaimed, or you are giving all power and adjudicature to the Supreme Court for them to interpret the laws that they made? So today it may not favor you. Tomorrow you may be at the whims of the law seeking justice. So today you watch your actions and how you treat the Supreme Court on what they do. It's all for a safe, secured, and stable country. That is the goal.
I like where you've come from with the issue of the Supreme Court ruling over the matter eventually. And like I said in my earlier submission, this is one of the things that a lot of people do not understand, and people are saying that the court should stay out of the business of the parliament and issues. But they work hand in hand.
Yes.
You cannot work without the laws. The parliament doesn't sit on its own. If they were sitting on their own, all of us could have walked into parliament and also decide to say that we are here or we are there, or make whatever decisions we want to make for ourselves as a people, because after all, we are the people that they are governing. But there are laws, there are rules, and these things must happen. And I appreciate the fact that again, you mentioned it's coming from the point where we are approaching an election.
Yeah.
We are barely about a month to go
Less than 30
for
days,
for
45
for
days,
the election. So if this matter is not handled with tact, with wisdom, I mean, it's going to be very chaotic. We already know what partisan politics has done to this country already, and we do not need such things at the moment. I do appreciate what these parties represent and what they try to show when it comes to politics, so that the average person understands the rules of the country and how the country has to be run and all of that. I know it's part of their education and all of those things, but things must be done correctly. The right steps must be done. So I commend the Speaker of Parliament for taking that bold decision to say that he's suspending every parliamentary sitting until further notice.
Yeah.
And we need that because I do know that there are other things pending for Parliament to sit on.
Yeah.
But right now, we need to prioritize peace over every other thing.
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of Ghanaians must be able to appreciate this bold move and then respect the decision of the courts and the parliament. And then let's see this election through. It doesn't look like you're going to come back before the elections hold on 7 December. So let's see the elections through and then let's manage these issues. I don't think that there are issues that are not manageable. We are peace-loving people.
Yes.
We understand each other. So I believe that with this ruling, laws are in place. Let's make sure we are complying. We may not be happy. You see, when there are laws and there are rules, it doesn't favor everybody. Today you are here, tomorrow you are the other side of you are at the receiving end. So that's how it works. So let's just be patient. I mean, I know maybe people, the NDC may not be happy hearing things of this nature, but I mean, we have to bear with each other.
You know, I would say one of the very disturbing things that kind of motivates the then minority, now majority caucus stance is the reference they made to the former Speaker of Parliament.
Exactly.
Who also kind of found himself in a similar situation and passed the same judgment. And they are trying to refer that, well, you did the same thing during your time. And he came out to make a statement that, listen, I did what I did though, but I feel like in this situation, we should give room for the political party on whose ticket this MP came to Parliament to also make a call.
Exactly.
Or submit a call that since this person is no more longer representing me, I think that on my behalf, the seat should be declared vacant. And that there's limited zeal for efforts to make it to just rush to making it vacant, even though the law says so. There must be I would say, a coercive factor from that political party and the whole lot more. And you have all these playing. I like the fact that you said that we need to understand that we're not in normal times. We've had quite a lot of political hot waves around West Africa. I mean, you know what's happening in Mali,
Burkina Faso, and the neighboring countries.
Guinea. So we are not far away from such chaos.
At all.
We should, and it's begun from a point where we expect better from the parliament. So the parliament is in chaos. Then what will happen outside?
Exactly.
We need them to uphold their national duty to be lawmakers of repute and integrity, so that the people of the country also will be guided by that aura of peace and stability. Or else we may lose it all.
They shouldn't forget that we look up to them. It's a key thing. It's a key thing.
I want to pass special greetings to you, Professor Chioma Blaze Chikere, who's watching us from the University of Port Harcourt. Thank you so much, Prof, for staying with Hello Africa all the time. Phil, you can also pass some greetings if you want to.
So I want to send greetings to my friends who are watching me. I see you online. The names are long, so I don't want to go into the names, but I see you. All right, so can we move into the next headline? Okay, so let's do this. Let me do this. AU and EU youth and European youth for a change. So on October 14, 2024, the AU and EU Youth Voices Lab, titled Power of the Collective, officially launched in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. This transformative initiative aims to amplify the voices of young people across Africa and Europe, providing them with the skills and platform to influence decision-making and enact positive change within their communities. The launch event brought together key partners, including high-ranking EU officials such as Commissioner Juta and Ambassador Javier Nino Perez, alongside youth representatives from diverse backgrounds, fostering dialogues on the importance of youth engagement. Now, this 4-year program, co-funded by the EU with a budget of over 7 million euros, includes impactful milestones like the establishment of a youth advisory board and community-based initiatives led by Oxfam, Restless Development, and other major organizations. Now, the lab will offer resources such as training workshops, hackathons, and grants of up to 10,000 euros for youth-led projects, supporting young leaders as they build capacity and drive change. An upcoming mobile app will also be further enabled enable knowledge sharing and networking among youth across both continents. That's the African continent and the European continent. What do you think about this initiative?
I think that this is one of the many plausible initiatives that Africa yearns to get.
Exactly.
You know, our youth dividend is enormous. The World Bank puts it that we have an over 50% youth dividend that we need to nurture.
Yeah.
What this is great resource. I mean, human resource that the West demands. You know, through this academic mobility, there are ways and means to also attain some of these young people that you have, because you need that kind of young, energetic population to help drive your economy. And Africa, on the other hand, has had all the potential, but unfortunately, we just do not have the avenues to harness and to effect them and make them very useful. So you have such programs like these that come a long way to help enhance our youth, make them very, very resourceful to our good. We wouldn't want to lose them to brain drain. We just want to find ways and means to make them resourceful for the continent and contributive right here and not anywhere else.
Yeah, I like the mention of brain drain, because a lot of European countries, including the US, are now doing a lot of employment or recruitment from Africa. And many of these people they are recruiting are within the sector we are talking about. So I'm really happy to see that there's some sort of a collaboration right now between the AU and the EU to make sure that some several million of African youth are trained in this regard. When I, for example, in the case of Ghana, when I saw, I'm going back a little bit into the politics again. When I saw manifestos from the major parties in this country, I thought there should be more. You know, I feel like beyond having interventions like this from the AU and the EU partnership, the African governments themselves must be able to put themselves together and invest in the young people, because across the continent, the youth have the numbers. They are in the majority. So if we are not paying attention to young people, especially with this kind of initiative and the drive that is happening across the world, Africa will be challenged in the next few years. We are already seeing these things already. We do not want to see these things continue. As a young African, I want to see us do well. I want to see us do better. So beyond these initiatives like this, I want to recommend that our African governments should be able to set up, invest in things of this nature that can help us. Look at the amount of money that is here. When we see budgets from time to time from African governments, you don't see a lot of things like this, let alone this kind of amount of money in there for things like that. So I want to say that, like, the African government need to do more. We shouldn't just wait for this kind of initiatives. We appreciate these things, this kind of partnerships and whatever, but we need a lot more. Africa can only drive itself. I always say that the African story can only be told better by the African, not the European, not the American, not the whoever is coming from. So we need to set up, we need to invest in these things, and then make sure that we because I always read stories from both home and abroad, and I see things where people have traveled, especially Africans have gone to the West, to America, to Europe, wherever, and then they are studying, and then the kind of impact they are making, the results they are churning out. So it just tells you how bright,
much potential for the African young ones.
So I don't know why we always want to wait for initiatives of this nature. I mean, as much as I commend this initiative, I just want to say that the governments should also set up, invest in your young people. It will do us a lot of good in the next few years. Yeah.
You know, that has been one of the banes to our economic breakthrough, where we kind of lack that priority to invest in our young people.
Yeah.
In 2013, the African Union launched what we call the African Union Agenda 2063.
Yeah.
So this agenda encompassed 7 aspirations. One of them was that we want an Africa which is driven by the African people.
Exactly.
The youth, the young men and women and children who would drive our own growth. A very great aspiration. And if you want your growth to be indigenously led by your own people, your own young people, then you need to enhance their capacity.
Yeah.
So the question is, if you were to track down 20 years or 10 years into this agenda, how well have you enhanced capacity through your own initiatives?
Yeah.
You can see that this program is supported by the European Union, who have always been there for African-oriented projects in the whole of the world. But what is the African Union perhaps doing on its own?
Exactly.
However, you will say perhaps this was one of the partnerships brokered by them. Fine, we take it like that. But in what ages or what periods are we going to find these projects erupting or popping up? Is there any clear activity map where we have programs, initiatives which are encircling and transformative enough to drive the African continent to a different level? You can also pair with the UN SDG goals, SDGs that says that we also look at trying to enhance equitable access to higher education, inclusiveness. We want to beat down inequality. We want to beat down the issue of poor jobs and to get decent jobs and economic growth. We want to get sustainable cities and a whole lot more, all within end poverty, enhance good health and well-being, and all these things are good to build the African continent. And it can be done without trying to build the capacity of the young people, because they are the ones well placed in this capacity to take the country to the next level. So if they are left impoverished, underserved, and they are unemployed and unemployed with less capacity, what will come of the continent? It will be vague. It will be empty. So I applaud this initiative. I applaud the African Union and the European Union as well for always being there for Africa's good. I think that we should always have that pure mindset in supporting build the African continent's youth dividend, youth population.
So at this point, let me just mention that this is more or less like the launch of the program. What it means is that there's a lot more package embedded in it, and then we just look forward to seeing what the rest of it will bring. So congratulations to the EU and the AU for this partnership. Right. So can we go into the next story?
I think that there were some very notable persons in there that we have to mention.
Sure.
If you have them, you want to mention them?
Let me begin with the commissioner, Commissioner Juta, and the ambassador Javier Nino Perez. Key people in this place, and then also the organizations involved, Oxfam, and then Restless Development. These are notable people who have partnered to make sure this collaboration is happening. So kudos to all of these people who have come together to put this together for Africa. Right.
So taking the next one is the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Congo has actually undertaken reforms in university system progression, but slowly. Where does it slowly lie? So this story starts from the University World News that says that the DRC is steadily progressing in its reform of the higher education sector by implementing the Licensed Master Doctorate (LMD) system. What is that? We'll find out what it is. Although this system was initially introduced under a 2014 law, its rollout has been slow, with different course lengths and structures still in transition due to the lack of consistent regulatory support. A 2022 decree established the grading designation, creating a foundation for the full adoption of the LMD structure. While many educators and students support these reforms, they also face significant challenges, including increased tuition fees and a lack of government funding Dr. Gertrude Muganda Nzigere, a professor at the Free University of the Great Lakes country, noted that universities are shouldering the cost of training faculty on the LMD requirements without substantial governmental assistance. And she also highlighted the need for more resources, classrooms, and facilities to meet the system's demand, emphasizing that the LMD system aims to align education with labor market needs and boost student autonomy. Despite challenges, the reform has led to the quality improvement and renewed confidence in DRC universities, encouraging more parents to enroll their children locally rather than abroad. If the government addresses funding and infrastructure support, the LMD system promises to enhance the global competitiveness of Congolese higher education. So you may want to get to know what the LMD is, a licensed master doctorate system.
So
That's solid.
my quick search shows me that the LMD is a 3-level organization of post-secondary education.
Okay.
And it's shared by most countries in the EU. In France, it means the licensed master doctorate. So this system standardizes the levels of organizations. This system standardizes the levels and organizes recognition of the degrees in the different countries.
Okay.
So basically, it's a 3-level postgraduate education thing. So from what I gather from the story, what he means is that DRC has noticed the trend in their, let me say, workforce, and then their higher education system. So they are trying to bridge the gap where at every level of the post-secondary education, there's something that can be done for anybody that attains a certain level of qualification. Basically, that's the understanding I get of this. And I'm sure that they have seen what the labor force is suffering from when it comes to the DRC, let me say, economy. So they have been able to identify this, and then they are trying to put measures in place to make sure that the LMD is putting things in shape for every individual that reaches every level of education when it comes to the workforce and education in Congo. Yeah.
That sounds interesting. And I think you mentioned that it also has a way of harmonizing European credit systems with that of the Congo.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that is of great interest thus far, because you have so many African students who want to go and further their studies in Europe. And now you have to pay a side agency to now evaluate your credits whilst in school to suit that university within either the US or any part of Europe. But if there is a system, the licensed master doctorate system, where whilst you begin, your credit system and evaluation scheme is incommensurate with that in Europe, then it kind of also tells that you can also qualify for work or any other opportunity in Europe without stress, since their mode of evaluation is homogeneous with what you have in your country. What is a term of at least we are also promoting internationalization and globalization between Congo and then the other European countries.
It's a good thing. So what it means is that people do not have to struggle to want to try by all means to go to school in Europe or in America or anything of the sort. The standards in Europe is what is being brought back down to you in DRC. So if you're in DRC, you should be able to go through this educational process without a problem. What it means is that you can get a job in DRC at every level. You can get a job outside the Congo as well, because the level of measuring has been brought down to let me not say brought down, but they have been brought to the same level. They are at par. So it's easy for you to school in DRC. You do things you want to do in DRC. If you want to get out of DRC into Europe, it's going to be easy as well.
There is, I think, a bottleneck here that we have to look at according to the story. This initiative or system is facing a lot of lacks, and it's actually progressing on a slow pace. And we want to find out what exactly is the reason why it's progressing on a slow pace. If you're in the DRC or if you know about this issue, you can also share your comment on why it's slow. But the story says that there is a lack of consistent regulatory support. And whenever regulation is undermined in any initiative, you kind of like divide the dreams into two,
Yeah.
and then you break half out of it.
Yeah.
It means that the direction, the force
Yeah.
to carry it from its inception to
Yeah.
the successful end has lost direction itself.
Yeah.
So who is the regulatory agency in this case?
Yeah.
The Ministry of Higher Education in Congo?
Yeah.
The government? Are they all in tune? Are they
Yeah.
committing? Are they doing their part?
Yeah.
So we read that there are challenges out of this initiative. The issue about lack of government funding, which is very key. And
Yeah.
if government has led to the introduction of a licensed master doctorate system that is supposed to be of benefit to the people, then
Yeah.
government must perhaps also have
Yeah.
a plan, an action plan
Yeah.
in place to help carry it and give it a soft landing.
Yeah.
Because if you give it a hard landing, then it means that we are not really hitting the target very well.
Exactly.
So if government fails to also play its role in providing funding for the execution of this scheme, it's a challenge. And we have the issue of lack of resources, classrooms,
Yeah.
facilities,
Infrastructural support.
yes, and I mean, students are unable to pay their fees. Tuition
Yeah.
fees are
Yeah.
surmounting.
Yeah.
I think when we look at all these are emerging issues out of a very brilliant initiative
Yeah.
that we must tackle if we want to see the best out of this initiative.
Yeah. And I'm particularly interested in the infrastructural support.
Yeah.
I stand to be corrected, but if you are going to do something like the LMD, you should put the infrastructure in place. You don't have to start and then you are already in motion and then now you're beginning to see the problems. I believe, like we were talking about the regulatory bodies, they should have been able to put these things in place, or probably if you want to go along with it whilst you are doing the infrastructure, the program is also ongoing. You have to be managing the intake, because this looks like a good thing people will be interested in. So if they're already having infrastructure support problems, then it seems to me as if maybe the due diligence before the implementation of the program was not. So the regulatory bodies will have to set up, shown up. So do something quickly and make sure that this thing is going to be sustainable. I'm always concerned about sustainability of the things that we do in Africa. Initiatives are always there. The plans are always there. When you're fortunate, you get the funding, you get the support, you're able to start. But along the line, many initiatives lose the steam. And there are several factors. One of them is what we are talking about, the regulation. So I am happy that it has taken off.
Sure.
But the problems that have been identified, funding, infrastructure support, whatever, these things must be properly attended to so that quickly there'll be a smooth flow of the program. Because if I was in DRC, I'll be concerned about is knowing that there's prospects in this program and then suddenly problems like this are showing up. I mean, I would have been concerned.
Yeah.
So the people responsible for this must really set up and do something about it urgently. Yeah.
Very well. And you know, one other thing that also we have to mention is the fact that African governments have long been foretold on their negligence to always act with data.
Yeah.
We are not data driven.
Yeah.
So if you take any action based on political motivation, it will always land in a failure.
Yeah.
Because there was an act to jab an opponent, an act to just, I would say, get some praises from the people.
Yeah.
But when you get to the point where you feel the realities, the volatilities, uncertainties, complexity, and so agility of the environment, then you begin to now see need to reason or resent.
Exactly.
But if we had data carefully collected, analyzed, and then we can make a decision, we will then know that everything that we do, we have an anticipated outlook of what the challenge will be and what will be the corresponding solution to curb them. So it's a clarion call that we should restore ourselves back to the point where we use data to make decisions more than make decisions without any data just to please people or let's say score political points. We should go strictly by the data we've collected so we can make very informed decisions.
Yeah. The lack of data also just tells me that it means there's lack of research.
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's a major thing.
You want to know Africa's deficiency when it comes to research. Let me say
it's a major problem.
Peter Asare-Yanko, thank you so much for joining in. A big greetings to the Secretary General of the land. of the AA.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, greetings to you.
Greetings to you. Greetings to you, sir.
And we believe you're watching us, and also you pass in the comment to grace the occasion or grace the show. Let's try and then move on if you have anything to add up.
Right. So, well, I think that'll be all for that, and we can move on to the next story. Now we are going to Ethiopia. This story is also from the University World News. Ethiopia has launched the 5 Million Ethiopian Coders Initiative, one of Africa's largest projects of its kind, which aims to train 5 million youth in coding over the next 3 years. Launched by Ethiopia's Prime Minister in July 2024, this joint effort with the UAE is a major step in the Digital Ethiopia 2025 strategy. The initiative focuses on equipping participants in artificial intelligence with a commitment to gender equity. 50% of the 150,000 already recruited are young women. The program is structured around 6 to 7 week online models with mentors supporting participants and certification upon completion. The initiative also targets broader objectives like promoting innovation, entrepreneurship, and economic growth. Education and training institutions nationwide, including those in rural areas, are integral to the rollout, integrating coding education into their curricula. However, with the scale of resources required, the success of this initiative depends on coordinated planning and support from all sectors. This project draws inspiration from the UAE's 1 Million Arab Coders Initiative, which trained thousands across the Arab world. Ethiopia's ambition to foster a skilled tech-savvy workforce could position it as a leading tech hub in Africa. The Ethiopian government, educational institutions, and stakeholders are urged to ensure coding education becomes a sustainable part of the national curriculum, helping bridge the digital divide and prepare Ethiopia's youth for a digital economy. This is absolutely pleasant news for me. Pleasant news for me. Pleasant news.
You know, Phil, the thing is, we are approaching, a whole global dimension. It's an evolving scape.
Yeah.
Africa has started to realize that we lost out on so many worldwide revolutions.
Yeah.
The first industrial revolution, the second revolution, the third, and currently we are seeing the fourth industrial revolution phasing out gradually.
Yeah.
Today, you can tell how technology is just taking over the place.
Yeah.
Recently, you saw Elon Musk's robots.
Yeah.
And we now see the reality of iRobots. Will Smith star movie. That now robots are now coming into the phase to become bartenders.
Yeah.
Robots are now communicating.
Yeah.
I mean, today he still wants to bring this whole robot that's able to hold a baby in the womb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So looking at how the world is moving in this stage, the turbulence in terms of change, and how it's driven towards technology-driven activities, why would you want to leave yourself out?
Exactly.
If there's any government who is willing to also catch up and be on the table, you have one of Africa's proudest countries who actually were not colonized, Ethiopia, a very sovereign country in their stead, to make such a very bold decision that we are going to toe towards the area of coding.
Yeah.
Because today it takes an app to turn things around.
Yeah.
And these apps that we have sat down for them to take over the industry, you see the Facebooks, the Twitter, and the whole lot, that actually generates billions of dollars at the end of their working year. We are always users. Why? Until when are we going to contribute to users? We can also create some of these platforms for the African people. So platforms created to suit the African people, to suit the African context, so we can also be proud of what we have created that suits our problems.
Yeah.
So it is in the right direction that Ethiopia has done this.
Yeah. Beautiful story. And I'm particularly also happy that 50% of this number are young women.
Yeah.
It is very key. The technology industry is dominated by men. Yeah, so I'm happy to see that 50% of this number, that's over about 75,000 people are young women. So this is a really good number, and Ethiopia has done very well. And I'm not surprised that this is coming from the UAE. Let me just divert a little bit from tech. I always talk about the UAE because of what they have done when it comes to developments for their nation. The UAE 20 years ago, 30 years ago, was not what people are talking about today. Today, destination for holidays is not the United States. It's the UAE. What they have done in this 20, 30 year period just tells you the level of, focus and discipline they have towards developing the country. When it comes to natural resources, the UAE hasn't got nothing but just oil. And then they have the deserts and then the sun that is so hot. That's all they have as natural resources. But look at what they've turned their country to. And everybody's going to Dubai. Everybody is going to Abu Dhabi for holidays, for business, and all of these things. So it just tells you the kind of mindset that these people have. So if Ethiopia is aligning with them on such things, and particularly on technology, it's only a thing that I can only wait to see what will happen in the next few years with Ethiopia when it comes to coding. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen with them.
It calls for enough strategic foresight.
Exactly.
This kind of thinking is only for the brave. For the strong and not for the weak. For you to sit down and then plan that in the next 50 years, how do I want my economy to be? Do I still want to be the manual administrative tabula rasa kind of economy, or I want an economy which is fully driven by technology, innovation, digitalization? Now, when you set that goal, then you make your mapping. What does it take to hold this premise?
Exactly.
You get the pillars, and then you just keep the mapping going on the theory of change. On the theory of change, you keep your mapping sustainably moving on. Who to partner with, what to introduce, who to start with. Before you realize, you are thinking like a country like China. You are thinking like a country like the UAE. You are thinking like a country like Ethiopia, who is now taking steps to get there. So this is how it's done. All the advanced countries, the Singapore's, the Korea, the Indonesia, who transformed themselves. Singapore transformed itself overnight. And like Ghana, for example, who shares a similar independence date with Singapore. It's like, how did we get there? Like, it's because we had to think deeper into the unforeseeable future and take steps to get us there. You need to take that decision, look into the future, and map things out, and then take steps, very calculated steps to get there. And that's how it's done.
Africa needs to wake up. The rest of Africa needs to wake up to catch up with what Ethiopia is doing. I'm happy for countries like Rwanda who have also done similar things, and then they are taking the lead. So the rest of Africa really needs to wake up and start thinking beyond political years where they are doing 4 years in power or 5 years in power. Think beyond that and have like a proper strategic plan for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, things of that nature. And this kind of decisions, I always say that all the stakeholders should come together. At that point, when you're talking about national development, you are not thinking about partisan interest anymore. So there should be a stakeholder sort of agreement or meeting, whatever they want to call it. I mean, the governments know, or the countries know what they are dealing with. They should think about it and then come together, put the stakeholders together, and then have a proper developmental plan or goal that they must follow through, so that even if governments change, these plans will be followed through. Because at the end of the day, you're thinking about the bigger picture, not just what you're going to do within 4 years or 5 years as a political party or as a government. I mean, Africa really needs to wake up to some of these things.
And looking at the bigger picture, we also have the issue of the adoption of agricultural technologies urgent. Scientists actually are clamoring that we need agro-based technologies.
It's very key.
Must this statement be made today? I mean, we are in the fourth industrial revolution, for crying out loud, and we have a scientist who is reiterating the same call, as if we never knew that it was urgent. To embrace mechanized farming and make sure that technology plays a key role.
Yes, we know what all these things can do for us. We mentioned them. In fact, it's the reason I keep having problems with leadership in Africa, because when our leaders travel to the Western world, they see these things, they have interactions with some of these people, they sit at tables with them, they sit at meetings with them, and it looks as if, to me, they just enjoy the dinner and then the conversations end at the table. It must not end there. Bring it to Africa, whatever is needed. Look, we are not saying that we want to see change overnight. Start small. have a drive, have a program, have something going, evaluate the process. Let it, like you're talking about the theory of change, like let it keep moving. We must be moving regardless of how slow even the movement is. Let it be.
It's better to be slow and have a focus
Exactly.
than be fast and just be confused.
Exactly.
So at the recent Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology held in Mombasa, Kenya, experts called for a faster adoption of agricultural technologies to help Africa meet its comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program. This program is one of the flagship programs for agriculture by the African Union, the CAADP. And this program is also under the Agenda 2063, the one I told you about.
Yeah.
That as we look forward to achieve this agenda, we also want to tackle the issues with food security. Today, there is a lot of challenge, which is not self-created. We haven't done so much with that issue, but we are a victim.
Yeah.
The issue of climate change.
Yeah.
So climate change is such that it has it's globally induced but locally felt.
Yeah.
So we have other countries who are highly industrialized, who are having so much carbon emissions deposited within the atmosphere, and we are all in the atmosphere, so it affects you locally.
Yeah.
But as Africans, are we still going to watch and then do things manually whilst our environment is being deteriorated by the stench of climate change? Today, the air we breathe in is so much beyond the normal self.
Yeah.
It's so warm. The warming, the global warming is real.
Yeah.
The ozone layer is depleting. We have so many effects happening on our water, our plants, and a whole lot. I mean, we are all cutting out. We're cutting trees everywhere. When was the last time you saw a big tree in an inner city?
It's sad.
We tried to plant 7 million trees. I don't know if they start going though. Somebody remove those trees. I have not seen them actually shooting up to where I wanted to see. It's been 3 years now. So
I think that drive has gone down.
yeah.
Really, I think that it has gone down because what it seems to me in Africa is that there are many times it seems like the issues that come up in Africa they pop up as a seasonal thing. Like at the beginning of the show, what you mentioned about Ghana. For example, in this month, the brouhaha in this country is about the parliamentary issue: who is in majority and who is in minority. We are going to enter November in a few days. Something else will happen, and then once that thing takes center stage, then we are forgetting about the parliamentary issue. Like this is the thing that's happening with that. Like we don't have the consistency to follow up on the things that we need to drive. It is a major problem.
It's sad.
It's sustainability on every good thing. The only thing we are consistent about are the bad things, which is so wrong. Consistency must be seen in the correct things, the right things. These are the things that will drive change for Africa. So we need to change the narrative. And by this, it's not only about leadership, the African people.
Yeah.
Every time we talk about things of this year, a lot of people straight away think about leadership. But what about the individual, the people that make up the countries, the citizens? I mean, everybody has a part to play in this thing. Yeah.
Dr. Martin Murigi, Director of the Biotechnology Research Institute at the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, emphasized that accelerated research and investment in drought-resistant and pest-resistant seeds could help reduce hunger and poverty by 2030 instead of 2063. And drought-resistant techniques and also pest-resistant techniques are all part of the climate change resistance and adaptation solutions. Today there's so much warm, the hot waves that we feel within the African continent today. It's beyond what we have to say. Today is so warm. Sometimes you find that the rain patterns 5 to 20%.
Yeah. Very abnormal.
It's raining abnormally, and it's actually very scorching the sun abnormally. And we have water bodies drying up. Dams in the upper west, where there's the savannah, where there's so much sun, it's also drying up. Livestock are dying. Crops are dying because we do not have enough water to irrigate. So if we tend to look at this without any action, data-driven action, we tend to lose a lot.
I don't know why we keep making these errors, because when the things are staring you straight in the face, I do not understand why we tend to look to the side when the thing is staring us straight in the face. It's the reason I can't understand the issue of galamsey. for example, because the natural water bodies that can help us doing things, we are happy messing it up, and we are not thinking about the consequences for the current generation and the generation that is coming after us. These things are major issues. So I'm interested in the fact that like a lot of conversation is going on about these things, but these things should not just be conversational.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
Yeah.
They should not just be conversational. They must be practicable. They must be implemented. They must take the center of the conversations, and then when we get to the field, that's what we need to be seeing.
Yeah.
Let's walk the talk.
Yeah.
You know, because there's too much conversation going on. I'm happy about the conversations, really. Higher educational institutions are taking it up. You are seeing it everywhere. You are seeing it on social everywhere. But the implementation and making it work, that's what I'm looking to.
Interestingly, also, Dr. Francis Nyango from the Africa Agricultural Technology Foundation also stressed that there is a need for governments to empower African smallholder farmers with technology. And this issue about empowering these smallholder farmers with technology is important. One would say, well, are they educated enough? A well-structured agricultural value chain process goes a long way to help that very lower farmer who hasn't had an education to appreciate some things like climate patterns, soil irrigation, understanding all of these things to help them also become efficient in what they do. What's your view on this?
Look, I agree that the smallholder farmers must be integrated into this kind of things. The reason is because, you see, you can think about the small farmer as somebody who is probably not commercialized enough, so he or she's not producing enough. But within his neighborhood, within his circles, where he or she is living, he's not going to produce to eat alone. He will sell. The people around will buy because it's going to be cheaper. So he's doing these things, people around are benefiting. If this guy doesn't know the current trends, doesn't know how to make things work properly, what is going to be the end goal of this farmer? So we sometimes leave out the little details to make it look like they are not important. It is very key. And these things, I'll tell you one of the things that has driven it's part of the, let me see, so part of the things that has driven my dissertation I'm working on currently and in my master's. I'm writing on something with regards to podcasts for not as a knowledge sharing tool for poultry farmers within Accra. Because take extension officers. I don't remember the last time I saw any extension officer go anywhere to go to talk to any farmer or go within any community or put farmers together to make information available for them. Podcast is a new thing. It's a technology thing. All you need is a smartphone and internet. We know we don't have great internet reliability in the country.
In the rural areas.
But yes, and in the rural areas. But if you have the means and you create it, for now, it can be a start. Even if you can't do podcasts, you can use the radio stations. So things like there's always a way out.
Maybe we can use drones to also pass announcements.
All of these things are possible.
Your community is making noise.
It is possible. Anything that can make the information get to the person that needs the information. That is what we are talking about here. So I'm doing something of this nature, which eventually will see the light of day. So if you have podcasts talking about various farming technologies and things of this nature, the farmer who probably has a smartphone or is given a smartphone by his son or daughter can just be helped by this child. And then all they have to do is to listen.
Absolutely.
And then that's about it. And then what the progress we want to see in the little corners, we'll start seeing them. Because sometimes we are always focused on the bigger picture. We are thinking about how big it is. But in the small ways, let's start in the communities and the rural areas. These things are very doable. Let's not see like some sort of an abstract that you are imagining somebody sitting. No, it is with us. There is always a way out. We can find the solutions to these things. Yeah.
So if you're watching us live or on your TV screen, on your cell phone, smartphone, your laptop, tablet, anywhere you are in your office, anywhere, just stay tuned. Just know that it is time for you to also bring in your contribution on what we discussed thus far about the issue about agriculture agricultural deficits and how we can secure food security within the African continent, the invasion and what we're experiencing with climate change and a whole lot more. There's also one last part with this story. You know, currently, there are legal battles going on over this genetically modified. You know, Africa, we're used to the organic form of diet and crops. And we also have the GMOs who have come to modify our own dietary patterns. And we are here, we find lots of experiences with the results. Our people have fallen sick, cancer, with the GMOs and all that. And today, it's happening live. We have so many countries like Nigeria who has a legal banter with GMOs and all this behind it that it is not good for the continent, a whole lot more. What do we do around this? Technology, GMOs, organic?
Like I said a few minutes ago, there's always a way out. If we want to go with the GMOs, we need to look at it, if it is beneficial or not. I look at it as some level of innovation, fair enough, to grow crops and make things happen, because then we are talking about food security and shortage of food, and so you're trying to implement some level of GMO to make sure things are happening quickly to make up for the losses. But let's look at it holistically. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? What are the effects? These are the things. For me, I don't know why we struggle with some of these things. Even if you're running it as a pilot program, you would get to know where the problems are. That's why, again, research comes in. So experiment the thing. Look at how it works. What effects does it have on humans? Because eventually, when you talk about crops, they are consumable. Humans will eat them. Animals will eat them. So let's experiment some of these things. And then we can have a proper conversation and know if these things are good or not. But we are, as humans, sometimes we are just profit-driven. So we are looking for the monies that we will make when we are able to sell the produce and all of this. So then people are forced to do the unthinkable just to make the profit, because then when they sell, then they will make money. I mean, this should not be the way to go.
And a whole lot more, Phil has just said. So let's go for a break. We'll come back and I will talk more about other stories with the names. It is Alba and Co. Right back.
Right.
Explore a whole new world of exciting visuals with AAU TV. Get ready for a mix of interesting talk shows, interviews, discovery documentaries, and news on AAU TV. It's not just about watching TV, it's about experiencing something special. AAU TV reaches over 25 countries in Africa, bringing you a blend of knowledge and fun. Learn about different cultures as you enjoy the shows. If you have events or want to showcase your business, we've got you covered. Watch AAU TV free-to-air channel on satellite. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at AAU TV. Reach out on call or WhatsApp us at +233 26 629 6601 or +233 20 399 5210. AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
The CGC Show is back on your screens. This season on the CGC Show, bring you nothing short of interesting and of course educative interviews. We are going to delve into the areas of technical and vocational education and training, TVET. We will get interactive with our professional and well-experienced guests to educate us on how to attain the career path you have been dreaming of in TVET. On the show, we focus mainly on highlighting career opportunities and job prospects available in the program you are studying or yet to read at the tertiary level. Better yet, we help you understand that whatever venture you are in can contribute to the economic development of our beautiful continent. Join me, Mr. Ako, on the CGC Show on AAU TV as I engage experts and professionals to help build and nurture your career. The CGC Show, your trusted pathway to your dreams.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water. Share the love. and Bigo drinks.
So it's good you're back on the Hello Africa morning show where the African stories are really told, the voice are really heard loudly. I'll give courtesy to Venom Mineral Water, Big Old Drinks. You guys do a great job. And this story, I mean, has sparked a lot of controversy. I hear the BBC is involved for misquoting a whole lot of things. So I would say one of the rising stars within the Hollywood movie space, our very own Idris Elba, the brain behind the Beast of No Nation, one incredible movie that really won a lot of awards. Also gave room for people to rise like Abraham Matai and Co. He has really done a lot for the African continent thus far. Idris is, I would say, is an illustrious son. We love him so much. I love him. You know, he's my man. And Idris now plans to relocate to Africa to boost the film industry. And this conversation pops up after we found that the Things Fall Apart movie, which had a role in for Pete Edochie, who is a Nigerian veteran actor. He was now selected or chosen to play the role of Peter Edochie in that part. And we have people saying, well, why is Idris chosen to play such a very indigenous-driven role? I mean, don't we have any Ghanaian or African who could do this better than Idris Elba? Come on. It is Idris Elba.
It says Idris Elba.
Yeah.
That's why it's a big deal.
It's Idris. Yeah.
The guy is a legend. I think, I do not know the reason he was chosen to play that role, but I believe that he has come far in his career as an actor. And, you know, as a son of Africa, I feel it is only right for him to play that role. No disrespect to the legends within Africa, especially in Nigeria and then Ghana. But for a person of his caliber and carrying the status of Hollywood, if he plays that role, I believe that it will shoot Africa further into the limelight. There are a lot of Africans who are in the industry in Hollywood, but you don't hear so much about them. But when you have something like Idris playing a role of this nature, I think it's a plus. I get all the sentiments and all of that, but in my opinion, I feel like it's a plus for us. So it's a good thing. If more of this can happen, I wouldn't mind seeing it happening at all.
You find people also, I would say, appears within the same limelight. The likes of Chiwetel Ejiofor, who did 12 Years in Slavery, Lupita Nyong'o, who featured in that movie. You have Forrest Whitaker, a whole lot of other names who are blacks and excelling within the Hollywood space. You have somebody who has really taken a bold step to come and then build the film industry back home. I think this should be a gateway for all these colleagues to join him. Because you know that Africa has a talent. And you all have African roots. Samuel L. Jackson, perhaps he did what we call the DNA test to know where he came from. He said, I think I'm from Gambia. so maybe later in the future, he may want to settle in Gambia. Ludacris tried, and then he also felt like he was from Gambia, so he visited Gambia. And you have Steve Harvey came to Ghana. So now we find people coming back to the motherland because they see that we need to come support. The diaspora is ready to support, build capacity. And this is...
I applaud this because I like the fact that these guys are looking back into Africa, because we have, when you talk about the case of Ghana, we've had the likes of Boy Kojo and his wife come to Ghana and all of that. Like, so I feel like it's a brilliant move for us. So the people in the industry, the creative art industry here, they should take advantage of these things. Do collaborations, do partnerships. It's a chance for you to have a local movie to feature Idris Elba when he visits Ghana. So I think that producers must be awake, start writing stories or movies that will fit his kind of person or persona, so that he can be in the stories for us. Because at the end of the day,
the only issue you can't pay Idris Elba.
See, I believe that there's always a way out, in the sense that look, the guy is trying to give back. So you can have a proper negotiation talk about it.
Well,
and something can happen.
Sir Idris Elba, if you can hear us, we are trying to contact you. Okay, you have to feature in our movie. Idris Elba took this project up, this issue about young child soldiers.
Yeah.
To the Based on No Nation movie.
Yeah.
He actually visited Ghana.
Yeah.
Went to a community in Agyemang.
Yeah.
And found some young boys playing football, and that's where he got the star character.
Yeah.
In the
Abraham
Mata.
Yeah.
And that is what I call an encircling and transformational figure.
Yeah.
He just came to Africa and turned some random boys into stars overnight.
Yeah.
The movie became a big movie.
Yeah.
The story was relevant and it was an impact-driven one.
Yeah.
And looking at his figure, he has a Ghanaian mother, Philemon father, and he has the heart to build the film industry. He has actually said that he's here to bolster the film industry. That's a 10-year process, he has explained.
Yeah.
So I think he needs the applause, he needs the support and the commendation, and every assistance possible. The only thing I think may be the bottlenext here is, the ladders, the regulatory systems, and whole law, the bureaucracy, the red tapeism. They will just find ways and means to just drain the motivation in you. And I hope that this time we will not blow away the opportunity. We will not fill it with regrets. That our regrets coming back to help. Because anytime people come back to help us in our all African space, it's a different testimony.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. It's not good for
we
us.
all don't like it. So let's just hope and pray that something positive.
We should rise above all the red tapeism and give him the access he needs. Support him to succeed in his goal.
Yeah.
So once again, to Idris Elba, he's an actor, comedian, musician. In fact, you can count a whole lot more.
Yeah.
So Idris, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And we also have a very interesting story right here. Our very own Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Shirley
Ayoko, who is now, I would say, been elevated to the position of Secretary General of the
Commonwealth.
This comes with so much grace and honor to the motherland, Ghana, for having a candidate like herself. She is a quality human resource. She has really contributed so much, building up the economy through access to education. She's done her best. Also with the issue of young women and children capacity building, she has done a lot. And she deserves this honor. And I believe that she has an agenda. That's where the point is. An agenda to also contribute to the Commonwealth people and also leave a footprint, a mark that would be seen by posterity that she made a mark.
It is important. And I'm glad that she's already accepted the position and already even issued a statement. Let me just read a brief portion of the statement she has released on her website. So to skip the protocols, I'll just jump that, and then she says, I feel deeply honored to be elected as the 7th Secretary General of the Commonwealth. I stand before you with a profound sense of gratitude and humility as I accept the responsibility of this position. I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of your confidence and trust. I just want to end it there. It's a very powerful statement to open her acceptance speech, to say that I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of your confidence and trust. So we wish her all the best, and we hope that she will live up to her opening statement, that will continue to have confidence and trust in her.
Simple as that.
Yeah. And we have some birthday celebrations. Oh yeah, I like birthdays because they come with a lot of package.
Yes.
So this one is a quick shout to Abigail Adobia Opoku, and it's coming to you from Isaac, aka Big Lion, and he says, may your special day be filled with boundless joy, love, and laughter. May this new chapter of your life bring the best of everything good, happiness, success, excellent health, and fulfillment. So happy, blessed birthday to you, Abigail Adobia Opoku, and please invite us to your birthday party.
Tell Big Lion that he has been wishing this person her birthday for a long time.
For a long time.
We are looking up to see some things.
Some other things. I know where that conversation is going.
I've told you.
I know where that conversation is going. Big Lion, I'm sure you have heard me loud and clear, and you have heard Agyemang as well. All right, so we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we will go straight into the sports segment we are calling Game On Africa. And this one is helping.
On the pitch.
Chelsea. We'll be back after this break.
Point.
Explore a whole new world of exciting visuals with AAU TV. Get ready for a mix of interesting talk shows, interviews, discovery documentaries, and news on AAU TV. It's not just about watching TV, it's about experiencing something special. AAU TV reaches over 25 countries in Africa, bringing you a blend of knowledge and fun. Learn about different cultures as you enjoy the shows. If you have events or want to showcase your business, we've got you covered. Watch AAU TV free-to-air channel on satellite. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at AAU TV. Reach out on call or WhatsApp us at +233 26 629 6601 or +233 20 310. AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
Hello, Africa. Keep watching AAU TV.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
All right, welcome back from the commercial break, and we are going straight into sports. And we want to begin with some trending news. And we'll begin with Nigeria. So Nigeria have been awarded a 3-0 victory over Libya, and the 3 vital points from their scheduled Africa Cup of Nations qualifier earlier this month, which they refused to play after being stuck in a remote the match to Nigeria 3-0, putting them on the brink of qualifying for the next year's finals at Morocco, as they said, on top of Group D. There are 3 points. The 3 points took Nigeria to 10 with 2 matches left to play, 4 ahead of the second Benin, and then 5 ahead of Rwanda. Libya have a single point from 4 games and are in the last place. The top 2 teams in the group will qualify for the 2025 finals in Morocco. Nigeria had refused to play in the match in Benghazi on October 15th, citing mistreatments on arrival in the country some 48 hours before the scheduled kickoff. Nigerian players and officials were kept in a locked airport for more than 16 hours, almost 250 kilometers away from their intended destination, after the charter flight was redirected while on approach to Benghazi and instead landed in Beda. They said they had no access to food or water and no contact from the Libyan officials during the episode, and they decided to fly back to Nigeria rather than to fulfill the fixture. So Nigeria have been awarded a 3-0 scoreline, and then Libya has been fined $50,000 for mistreating the Nigerian side. Also, Roberto Mancini has reached a surprise agreement with the Saudi Arabian Football Federation. Let me take that again. Mancini reached a surprise agreement with the Saudi Arabian Football Federation in 2023, just a few weeks after resigning as its Italian coach. However, the former Inter and Manchester City boss struggled to make an impact in the role, only winning 7 of his 18 matches as the helm of affairs. He also oversaw an underwhelming Asian Cup campaign in January, as Saudi Arabia were beaten in a last 16 penalty shootout by South Korea in Qatar. A statement issued by the SAFF read, "The board of directors of the Saudi Football Federation and the coach of the national team, Roberto Mancini, reached a joint agreement today, which includes the end of his contractual relationship." Mancini's position had reportedly been under consideration following a goalless draw with Bahrain earlier this month, a result that leaves them outside the automatic qualification spots in the 2026 World Cup groups. And the last item on the trending news is with Manchester United, and I know they're not going to be happy to hear this, but Manchester United has asked their rivals, Manchester City, if Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo could catch a lift with their party of 8 nominees to the Ballon d'Or, which is going to be held later tonight. but they were only told that the flight was full. According to Mail Sport, the Premier League champion to Paris for the Monday night award ceremony. And in a move which may well have raised eyebrows, it can be revealed that United asked their neighbours if they had any room for their two hopefuls. Sadly for the Old Trafford club, they were informed that there was no room on the flight and alternate arrangements had to be made. United are in savings measures following the arrival of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And it is understood that the prospect of sending the two players on a private jet was deemed to be not a good look given their current financial status. So they are looking for a lift from their noisy neighbours, Manchester City.
What a pity. What a pity.
That's a sad story right there. But I do understand. I mean, it makes economic sense. If you have a contingent of just two people from United who are going to take part in the Ballon d'Or, and you're thinking sending them on a private jet is too expensive, it's only wise to try to think about co-sharing. But unfortunately,
build your team in a way that you can also qualify for a lot and have a whole
exactly, because City have a lot of players on the list, and then they are going with their contingent.
That's how it's done.
Anyway, that's a sad news. So let's see how Garnacho and Menu will arrive in Paris tonight to witness the Ballon d'Or. And we don't know who's going to win yet, but we wish all the guys all the best tonight. Very big news. So let's go straight into the league updates, and we'll begin with the Premiership, English Premiership. After match week 9, there's a difference of 1 point between Man City and Liverpool, who sits in second place with 22 points. Liverpool came back from a goal down twice to draw 2-2 against Arsenal at the Emirates yesterday. Manchester City also beat Southampton 1-0 to return to the top of the table. Chelsea beat Newcastle 2-1 at Stamford Bridge, while Manchester United lost 2-1 to West Ham to take them further down to the 14th position with 11 points on the league table. Last week they were 11th on the table, Manchester United. This week, unfortunately, they are down to 14th position. It's very sad.
That's very sad.
Yeah, I am excited as a Liverpool fan.
No, it's sad.
It's sad, but I mean, as a Liverpool fan, I'm excited.
Let's join them, sympathize, right?
Well, for a minute, we'll sympathize, but then in the next few minutes, we'll be happy because we are doing fine.
Interesting.
And then straight into the La Liga news. In the first El Clasico match of the season, Barcelona humbled Real Madrid by 4-0 at the Santiago Bernabeu, and Robert Lewandowski netted twice, while teenage sensation Lamine Yamal and Rafinha got a goal each to seal the win. Yamal is the youngest player to score in the El Clasico at 17 years and 105 days old. Atletico Madrid also lost 1-0 to Real Betis in a hard-fought game away from home. And currently Barcelona sit on top of the table with 30 points, followed by Real Madrid with 24 points, and Atletico Madrid in 4th position with 20 points. And that game was down at home, only to allow Barca beat them by 4 goals in the second half. I was surprised because I thought that for Real Madrid playing at home, they should have lived up to expectation. They should have done better. But I don't know what happened with them. They lost focus, and not even their passes were going through. And Mbappe and Vinicius kept missing their chances. And for me, it was just bad that Mbappe, for a player of his caliber, he was caught offside for probably about 7 times.
Yeah, Mbappe himself, I mean, twice.
Like
two goals from Mbappe were all rejected
because of the offside position. Yeah. So I don't know what. Well, but for me, in a certain sense, I think that it's a humbling thing for Madrid, especially for Ancelotti. I feel like they haven't started the season really well, and they are not playing like they played last season. I don't know if the arrival of Mbappe, because it has changed the setup of the team, they are having difficulties. So even Bellingham is not performing to the best of his abilities.
It was pretty abysmal for him.
Yeah. He didn't have a good game.
Very bad.
And he was the talk of the media in Spain on Saturday after that game. So I just hope that they'll find their feet again, and then probably in subsequent games they will do better. So let's go straight into the Italian Serie A. And Inter Milan and Juventus entertained their fans with a high-scoring game, which ended 4-4 last night. Napoli also won 1-0 against Lecce, and AC Milan unfortunately had their game against Bologna postponed because of a waterlogged pitch. Napoli leads the table in Italy with 22 points, and Inter Milan with 18 points. Juventus following with 17 points, and then AC Milan in 8th position with 14 points. And finally, in the Bundesliga, in Germany, Bayern Munich continues to lead the table with 20 points after thumping Bochum 5-0. And then defending champions Leverkusen drew 2-2 with Bremen, while Dortmund lost 2-1 against Augsburg. And that is all for the sports segment Game on Africa on this edition of Hello Africa.
I'll borrow the words of Chelsea's current coach,
Enzo Maresca. He's doing a great job anyway.
Football will humble you, okay?
It is.
To my Man U fans, Real Madrid, they are the hottest people right now.
Yeah.
Football has humbled you.
Yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately. Anyway, so with this, I guess that we are gradually coming to the end of the show for today on this edition of the Hello Africa. But quickly we'll look up.
Let's look at this Ballon d'Or thing.
Okay, great.
Who do we take as the ultimate winner for this round of Ballon d'Or?
Okay.
Who do you have in mind?
This conversation is a difficult one for me because I think that Vinicius has put himself in a good position, especially for me when he showed his antics in the midweek last when they played against Dortmund, and he scored a hat-trick.
Yeah.
So I thought he put himself in a good position. But Rodri's performance in the past season and the 2 seasons ago, winning the treble with Man City and winning the Euros, honestly, it leaves me in a position where I cannot really pick who should win between these two players. But I think that whoever wins deserves it because these guys have put themselves in a very good position, and then I may the best person win. That's all I can say.
For me, I will always explain myself. I'm taking my man Cole Palmer. If you don't appreciate it.
Oh, Cole Palmer.
Yeah, Cole Palmer. I think Cole Palmer stands a chance to win.
He stands a chance, but I think the competition is tighter because of Vinicius and Rodri. On a more serious note, I'm not being partial here, but given the data, this one you have data to prove it.
Okay.
So
data driven.
So exactly. So it makes it difficult for Palmer to jump the queue, and then. But I think that he stands a chance of winning it if he keeps his form. And so let's see what happens if he doesn't win tonight, and probably next year or next 2 years, because he's still young, and then he'll be able to do better in the coming season.
So it's may the best person win. We support. Hard work.
Would you be in front? Are you catching the flight?
I lost my booking didn't really go well, but I'll cut them all out. Okay, I'll cut them on TV.
We'll
try and watch.
We'll do same. So all the best to the guys tonight. Yeah.
Interesting one right there.
So we can look at our top stories again today, and then we would wrap up on the show. So today we have been talking about the IMF and the good outlooks for what it looks like for Africa and the reforms that they are calling for. And then we've talked about Ghana's parliament chaos and the brawl over who is in the majority and who is in minority. We've also talked about cases of polio across some nations in Africa. And then climate change, which continues to be a big deal. And also we talked about the reparations, about our colonial issues that some African countries have faced. In the news portal review, again, we talked about the AU-EU collaboration, which we are happy about. And then we also talked about DRC's reforms in their university system. We also talked about Ethiopia's bold plan, which we have applauded, to train 5 million coders, which is a good initiative, and they have learned from the UAE. So these and other things are the things we've talked about. And of course, we talked about Idris Elba, and we're excited about his collaboration with Africa, particularly a studio here in Accra, and then in Accra, and then in Zanzibar. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. You have anything for our closing remarks?
Yeah, I mean, you just want to say that